Hey, everybody, back again. Can y'all hear me now? I had an audio issue. Uh, Please thumbs up if you can hear me now. Thumbs up, or just type a comment telling me you can hear me, because I had an audio issue with the broadcast that I just had to restart. So tell me if tell me if you can hear me now. Just waiting on y'all to tune back in. I had again had an audio issue and just want to make sure it's cleared up. So can y'all hear me now? Hello. I hear y'all tuning in, but I can't see you. I mean, well, I can't see y'all, but can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me now? Yep, seeing y'all buzzing back in. Give me a thumbs up or type a comment if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I had a microphone issue. Can you hear me now? Just making sure everybody can hear me before I continue with this live show. Because if you can't hear me, it's not it's not providing a lot of value. You can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Hello. Hey, can y'all hear me? Okay. Can can you hear me? I had a microphone issue, but can you hear me now? Okay, yes, you can hear me. Good. Okay, so thank y'all for confirming. Apologize for that. Had a microphone issue and it was bad. You know, you couldn't hear me on the last show. So yeah, so condition called machoism. Basically, I don't know if you've heard of the term, but machoism is, that won't happen to me. I'm invulnerable. This, that, and the other. Um, so what we're seeing and what we've seen is, the people that, there's a lot of people that are more, let's think of the way to put it. There's a lot of people that are more socially needy, meaning that, they require social interactions. In particular, people that may be in sales roles, people that are face to face interactors, people that not only crave that socialization, but people that, whether they realize it or not, that they require those social interactions to stay sane. So, something like the quarantine for people that do require those social interactions, something like a but then it gets to a point to where to having those social interactions, and when they can't have them, they start to break down. And what happens is that, this personality type, they start with it's more of a feeling of disgust. And then the next phase of it is that, well, now they've been quarantined for a few days, they just don't feel right, because part of their, it's just like vitamin D for most people, or a good meal. People need whatever to have a happy and healthy day to day life. So, you get these people that require that big social interaction component, and you lock them up in quarantine. After a few weeks, they're pretty much useless. They're they're breaking down. They can't deal with with being deprived of social interactions. Something they've always had, and this is the first time in their lives that they've been unable to freely come and go and freely interact face to face with people. So the idea of social distancing for those personality types is tough, if not impossible, to fathom. So, what we're seeing there's a condition, and I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called machoism. So basically, what machoism is you're too strong. That'll never happen to me. That only happens to other people. You know, you're that's exhibiting what's referred to as machoism. So people that are the socialites, whether they're salespeople or, maybe they're just people that go out to the bars all the time and interact with others. That to them is that to them is their form of entertainment. Those social interactions, and when those people are deprived of those social interactions, it it starts to wear them down, and that's when machoism comes into play. And people, those personality types can't deal with it, and because of a condition referred to as machoism, basically what happens is that they don't just become stir crazy. Stir crazy is a uh, is a very diluted form of machoism. These people, they become, well, they can't deal with it. They've got to escape. They've got to get out now. And as a product of machoism, what happens is that they prematurely reintroduce themselves to the world. They prematurely interact with others, and the problem that they create is they prolong the pandemic because it's. I'm not saying quarantine is easy. Quarantine may be easier for some, like myself. I'm a I've never really. I enjoy social situations. I enjoy interacting with others and this, that, and the other. But do I require it? No. I'm perfectly content. Maintaining normalcy. Person, two people, or a whole room full of people. When you've got multiple people, you've got multiple opinions, and when you've got multiple opinions, the opportunity for conflict often arises. So, if you're and not to use it in a negative way, but if you're the loner type, the personality type that can not only survive but can thrive without requiring those social interactions with others, then this condition or this new temporary normal quarantine may be able to be more easily tolerated. But the thing is that none of us, including people that may possess the loner personality type, even those people have never experienced a pandemic with quarantine during their lifetime. So, even those personality types are, often succumb to the inability to remain laser focused upon being vigilant about quarantine. It's the only thing, unfortunately, that's going to allow us to inoculate this pandemic. And even the people that are loners, having challenges complying with quarantine. Them having challenges complying with quarantine. Think about the socialites and the salespeople. How tough it must be for them to comply with quarantine, because I mean that's what gives them a feeling of life every day is getting out and making those face to face sales and shaking hands and asking all of those questions and throwing those compliments at everyone. Hey, nice shoes, looking sharp, buddy. Hey, I like your haircut. Those types of people. Nothing wrong with those types of people, but those types of people during this time are they're the ones that are hit the hardest. And unfortunately, because they're hit the hardest, they're one of the biggest pain points for the pandemic right now. And again, it all circles back to what I was mentioned earlier, machoism. You're not affected by this. You're macho. It it won't impact me. That's the mentality that someone afflicted with machoism has. So, just a little bit of um, let's say how would be the best way to put this? Not a political opinion, but just let's just call it. And I'm not a therapist, so this is not therapy. This is just for entertainment purposes only. But just I guess you would say a sociological look at the problem, at the pandemic, and it's a matter of how one chooses to deal with it, and again, my thing has been continue to thrive, find new ways to uh, to better utilize time. Yes, I miss the gym. I'm not a socialite, but I do miss going to the gym and working out and being around others and exceeding my physical fitness goals. But even though I miss that, I do understand that trying to resume those types of activities prematurely is going to prolong the pandemic for everyone. So, to be responsible and to be looking out for the best interest of others and myself, I don't want to become part of the problem. And for that reason, I've chosen these live shows. I mean, I'm walking around. Yeah, I'm not lifting weights, but I'm walking around. I've already burned a lot with as much stuff as I eat. But like I'd mentioned earlier, I don't eat uh, all the junk that I used to eat because while I'm in quarantine, I'm more aware of what I'm eating and I'm not eating all the excess stuff that I may have eaten in the past, the dessert items and that sort of stuff. Number one, they're not available, and number two, it's I don't have the gym to do that extra strength training on top of cardio. I mean, I've got a staircase to walk up and down, but I've only got one, two, three, four, five stairs. So I mean, I can walk back and forth like a lab rat and get a little bit of extra exercise here. But I mean, it's a matter of how you choose to deal with this. And this pandemic is more it's more mental than anything else. I would say, at least for me personally, the challenge that the pandemic presents is mostly mental. So, what are y'all's thoughts? Is it a mental challenge? Is it a political challenge? I know for some it's a political challenge. What is the pandemic for you? So, I mean, it's. Oh, and don't forget to super chat. I am an independent YouTube channel, and you can super chat or super sticker if you want to, because I'm putting all this together just for the world. I mean, it's we're in this together. This is not a ooh, you're quarantined, but I'm not. No, this is everybody. We're all quarantined, and we must all, well, not must, but we should. So there's a difference between must and should. Should implies, yes, that would be the best thing to do. Must implies you got to do that. There's some sort of authority saying you got to do that. I think the big thing now is is encouraging more people to say, okay, maybe I should, and then themselves say I will, because that way you provided an educated suggestion, and they decided to accept that suggestion, and then they have done what was suggested, which is a good thing. Whereas if you say you will, that's that's an authority, some sort of authority stating that you got to do this. It's not an option. Whereas should is a suggestion. Will is a, well, that's an order. And that leads to another component of this. Beyond the machoism component, but there's the anti-authority component. So you've got other people that are are refusing to comply with quarantine because of their anti-authoritative personality that exists. So just because it's an order, they feel compelled to not comply because it's an order instead of a suggestion. So instead of oh, you should stay in quarantine because our research has found that this virus easily spreads. So we would recommend that you should stay in quarantine. Again, that's a suggestion. But an order is, oh, according to legal code, blah, 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 you are required to blah, blah, blah. That is an order. And there's a difference. And unfortunately, there are people that a suggestion is not enough. And they will choose not to comply, which then they become part of prolonging the problem, prolonging the pandemic. But you've got the people that if you do put an order in place, then their anti-authoritative behavior prevents them from complying because it's an order and they possess an anti-authoritative mentality. They don't comply, and by not complying, what they do is prolong the problem, prolong the pandemic. So, we're kind of we're in a bad, and try to make the best of everything. I mean, we're in a bad spot. I mean, we've got what's the word for it? I mean, we've got the political component of this, which I'm not even going to go down that road. I'm just going down I guess you would say the psychological component. And we got all these things, and it's just my fear, my honest fear, is that we're just going to have to see this escalate and become a lot more serious before people will take it seriously. And I'm afraid that's probably what's going to happen. It's and this is a very sick example, but I'll go ahead and state it anyway. Did you know that airlines that there's analysis that's performed, and that if there are not enough, let's not say crashes, but let's say maintenance issues, if there's not enough of those in the airline industry, then the perception is that those airlines are overspending for safety. So, as sick as that sounds, that's a sad reality that if something's not broken, or planes aren't falling out of the sky, then there must be overspending for safety. And like that, with the pandemic, I think we're in the same spot. We've got something that people have conveniently convinced themselves, many people, that, oh, this is just a stunt by the media. This is just a stunt by the politicians. It's perfectly safe. It's nothing more than the common flu. And I guarantee you, there are people that would just say, they're so confident. They've developed this level of machoism where they would confidently go out and they would confidently walk to, let's say, whatever enclosed space with 100 people in it. They would confidently walk in there. They would confidently shake hands with everyone. They would confidently share hors d'oeuvres, finger foods. They would confidently do all that. And then they would confidently go home to their family and tell them about how awesome their day was and how many awesome people they met and how awesome so-and-so's haircut was and how awesome such and such shoes was and how sharp somebody was acting and, all those sales things. But what they would unknowingly know, well, I wouldn't say unknowingly, but what they probably didn't realize that they've done is, number one, hey, Jose, welcome aboard. So they've been exposed to all these people in that room. Some of those people had the virus. They then took, that virus home with them. They infected their family. On the way to and from home, they stopped at multiple stores. Welcome, Rick. They infected multiple people in those stores. Then they also infected their family. Then their family goes about their way. They go to see friends. They infect their friends and their friends' family. So, and the salesperson that started that chain reaction, they're probably perfectly okay. They don't even have any symptoms. They're in their early 30s, and yeah, they had a little bit of a scratchy throat, but a day later it cleared up. They're fine. But what they don't realize they've done, or what they don't want to realize that they've done, is they've spread this to multiple people that have then spread it to more people. And of those people that it was spread to, there were people that were elderly, there were people that had cancer and other pre-existing conditions. There were people that just couldn't fight the virus. So whether it was willing or not, their machoism, their willingness, not just willingness, but their perceived need to reintroduce themselves to the world, into the world, has negatively afflicted multiple people. So, that's just one quick example of this. Now, and I don't want y'all to think that, that I'm anti business, and that's definitely not the case. I am pro entrepreneurship, I'm pro capitalism, but again, and I will preach this over and over again, I feel that health should come before wealth, because if people aren't healthy, even if they're mildly sick, I mean, think about someone that is, let's just give a less serious example here. Someone that they have a really congested lungs and stuff, and they just don't feel well. Or maybe they've got a an upset stomach, and they don't feel well. Anytime that someone doesn't feel well, whether they try or not, their productivity is not going to be at an acceptable level. And something that and again, I'm staying away from the gym now because of the pandemic, but something that I've always remained vigilant about, if I have a headache, or if I have an upset stomach, or a sore throat, I will skip one day at the gym, because I know that if I'd gone to the gym, that it wouldn't have been a productive workout. So it will kill me, but I put myself in this position too much partying when I was younger. That's cool, Rick. Um, yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got, the act of missing the gym for one day should not be classified as laziness. It should be classified as, okay, well, I gave myself one day to recover, so that when I go to the gym tomorrow, I will hit the gym twice as hard. So, missing that one day, because if you'd gone that one day while you were sick, it wouldn't have been a productive workout. So, skip that severely less productive workout and come back the next day stronger. And the same thing is something that the people should do, and they're not, but they should do for this pandemic. Take it seriously, and let work together and let things pass, and then reintroduce yourself to the gym and other things. Please report, all visitors, please report to the front office. That's what I think people need to do. They need to I don't know. I mean, this is one of those, the funny thing is, this is one of those things, there's no real right or wrong next steps path. Just like this little line on the street here. It's just, it seems to be straight if you're walking here. If you're walking here, thank for everyone else. Exactly. But see, really, this line it may be crooked, going in all different directions, and then who knows? It could take a turn here. All these states open prematurely, and then boom, now we're over here, and then whoa, falling off track. Now I'm out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by disease. I step in this puddle here. Ooh, it's just covered in COVID. Ooh, and then I step out here. I mean, it's horrible. It is. I don't know. And one thing that I think this is hopefully taught a lot of us is, unfortunately, this society that we're all part of today, it is not an intelligent society. It is too many people live their own lives based upon safe assumptions. And what we're seeing now, what hopefully a lot of people have seen, they've been forced to see, is that things aren't set in stone. There are unexpected challenges that not even the best leadership in the world may have a solution for. So now we're all in this together. But I mean, we're in this together, and we've got the politicians are still going to fight. The news media, the media are still going to fight one another for ratings, and they're going to dig up the nastiest stuff and share it just to boost their agency's ratings, and to create conflict, and to stir up conversation, and ultimately to generate more advertising revenue for their agency. So there's people that are in this solely for financial gain, and I think that's sick. I really do. And there's people that are in this, and they have, you got to keep in mind, there's people that have had conditions, let's say mental conditions, prior to this. So there's people, they don't feel like their life matters, and if they don't feel like their life matters, they probably surely don't think that other people's lives matter. So those people, aside from in addition to the people that are plagued by machoism, the people that are mentally off, they're a huge component of the continued prolonging of the pandemic. So it's there's a lot more to this than you see on the news. And again, one thing I haven't mentioned is, is this as bad? Oh, Rick, thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in, Rick. Be safe, man. But yeah, it's just whether this is super serious or not, as serious as the media and the politicians want us to believe. One thing I think that everybody can agree upon is that it's highly contagious. And the two things that I can say with certainty. Oh, there's a bird feather. Look at that big bird. Roar, quack quack quack. One thing I can say with certainty is that it's highly contagious, and yes, it has killed a lot of people. So, is it as deadly as, say, another virus? And something that irritates me is that people are constantly comparing this to the flu. This is a completely different animal. And what I think will be, and I shouldn't say exciting in a fun way. Hey there, Irix. What do you mean by the media digging up stuff? Well, so the media are, they're all about ratings. So, this outbreak has presented a huge opportunity for all the media outlets, because what it's done, it's something that's heavily searched. It's something that is very controversial. It's something that is fueled by politicians, and it's something that nobody, whether it's a politician, a health organization, or whatever, it's something that nobody has the correct answer for, and nobody has developed a cure for. Well, it's so what the media are doing. The media are taking advantage of this, and they realize that. And I stopped doing it. I'd flip on the news and look at those little charts. How many people infected, this, that, and the other. And I just stopped doing that because it became a just a bad component of every day. So I stopped turning it on. But see, the media, for example, one thing they're doing, these charts, you can load them up, whatever country, whatever area, number of confirmed cases, number of deaths, this, that, and the other. It's just like they've kind of gamified it. They've said, okay, well, what's tomorrow going to bring? Here's the number. So what they've done is they've created the perceived need by many people to turn on that, whether it's a news website or news channel, turn it on every day and check the current numbers. So they've got a hook. It's kind of like a car dealership. Come by Saturday for our super 0% APR and get a free hot dog and a chance to win a plasma or a LED TV. That sort of thing, a doorbuster, getting people in there. So, like those car lots where you go and you get a free hot dog and you feel good, and the salespeople schmooze you and this, that, and the other. Like those car lots, what the media have done is brilliant. They've created these charts. They've gamified the experience. It's kind of thrilling to go to the sites and look at these numbers every day. And if you don't, you feel like you're missing out on something. But what they've really done, when people come to their sites or they flick on their news agency's channel, they're exposed to advertisements. So, that increase in traffic amplifies the number of views. So, the number of views increases. Well, that's a good thing for a media agency. They're getting more views. They're increasing their perceived value for advertisers. So, for example, let's just say small town news agency WXXX. Just make up a news agency name. Historically, let's say they got 100,000 views a day. Well, because of the pandemic and because of their creative marketing with the little charts and all that fun stuff, they've gone from 100,000 views a day to 300,000 views a day. So let's say small town lawnmower sales place that traditionally paid that news network or that TV network, they paid them, let's say $1,000 a week for advertising. Now, because of the heightened perceived value that news agency has created as the product of, okay, they've gone from 100,000 views a day to 300,000 views a day. So in essence, they're 3 times as valuable. So what that's done is it's amplified their perceived value, and that lawnmower company may no longer be able to afford to advertise with them because now that news agency, that news channel charges 3 times as much for their advertisements to advertise on their channel. So, now instead of lawnmower company, if they had the money, now in theory they may be spending 3 times as much for the same amount of ad placements on that network. But in reality, they probably won't be able to afford to pay that enhanced premium for advertising. So you're probably going to see, instead of a lawnmower retailer in a small town, you may see your more and I'm not saying lawnmower retailers aren't profitable, but you may see it trend more towards large car dealerships advertising instead, or financial institutions. So the media knows what they're doing. They're enhancing their perceived value, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. And anything, it's like anything else. Anything that, whether it's on social media or TV channel, should the media not inform the population? Yeah, I think the media's job should be to inform the population of what's going on. And even prior to the pandemic, I think what we've witnessed is that. Here's a good example. So prior to the pandemic, pretty much all you could find if you flipped on the news, and I'm not saying all you could find, but the majority of what you would find if you flipped on the news prior to the pandemic was just a witch hunt for Donald Trump. I mean, that's all it was. So now that we've got the pandemic, it's shifted. So, now we can't bash a country's leader as much now in the news, because that's not as good for ratings as, sharing all these pretty little charts and, providing updates daily or a few times throughout the day for confirmed cases and this, that, and the other. COVID-19 is what's heavily searched right now, and the media outlets realize that. So, they've shifted from, hey, welcome, Satan. Not Satan. Sorry, I hope I didn't mispronounce. Seaton. Is it Seaton? Welcome aboard, CETIN. I'm sorry if I called you Satan. Yeah, but what we're seeing now is the shift, and again, the shift has been from Fenton, I don't talk politics. What I will tell you is that here's my stance. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a capitalist. I'm an innovator, and I do feel that health is more important than wealth. So, I won't talk politics, but but yeah, the news, that's a good example of what's going on in the news, and right now, unfortunately, this is the best thing for ratings, and the sad part is that the media would love to stretch this pandemic out as long as possible because it's so good for their ratings. I mean, what are they going to go after the pandemic closes? Well, I mean, that's pretty easy. What they'll do after the pandemic concludes, the pandemic for them is even has even proven to be more popular than bashing Trump. So, and it's a sad reality. I don't think the media, like most, and I'll stop targeting the media for a second, but the media is just a good example of how what used to be something for for community good, something that would share current events and let people know what's going on. I remember back in the days. I mean, this wasn't good, but I mean, I remember back in the days. You'd flip on the news and the nightly news was pretty much just how many murders there were in a small town or whatever. That was kind of the news, and then or in a large city, and then you watch the news from a small town, and they didn't have the murders to talk about because there weren't many of them, and so they would talk about other things like recipes and the local county fair or whatever. You know, it was pretty, except for the violent side in the larger cities. The news at least provided some sort of value, and now again the media now are just all about selling ads, and they go after whatever's currently trending, and right now that's the pandemic, and it's I mean, I don't know, it's a tough time, but yeah, you just gotta, it's how you condition yourself. I mean, I've this live show, I'm sitting here interacting with y'all, having a good time, walking in the rain. It's raining. Who cares if I get wet, as long as COVID's not falling from the sky? So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a, and to overuse the word, I'll use it again, unprecedented. These are unprecedented times. That's that's the that's the new buzzword, I guess. But I mean, it's crazy, and I don't know. Do y'all think this will ever go away? That's a greater question. Do you think it'll ever go away, or do you think it even exists? Do you think it's all fake? Do you think that there really is a virus going around? And the reason I say that is that, I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know if y'all are doctors. But to be fair, I don't think bashing the free press for informing population in pandemic looks like it's right. Human nature is out of sight. Yeah, yeah, man, it's just crazy. I don't know, but I don't know. I can't tolerate the news. I really can't. I can, if there's bad weather or something, I'll hear a tornado siren or hurricane alert. But other than that, I don't have any desire to watch the news. And as far as financial research is concerned, oh, you were sick. Oh man. So were you like a medically confirmed case? Like, what did it I mean, what did it do to you? How did you know you had it? That's scary, man. So what was your first symptom? I mean, how did you, when you woke up one day, how did you know, hey, something wasn't right? That's freaky. Are you in? If you don't, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, I don't want to pry. Are you in the? Are you in the northeastern part? Really dry sinus. Ooh. Oh, see, I had that happen, but mine was pollen because we had a lot of pollen outside. But I freaked out. So you had dry sinus. What happened after that? So that's, I mean, that's horrible that you had it. Now, do you feel like that because you've had it, do you think you've developed any form of immunity? I mean, are you still vigilant about wearing a mask and gloves if you have to leave quarantine, or do you feel like you're immune to it now? That is freaky, man. Man, 310 calories plus about, yeah, burning these calories. They progress by being really fatigued and a dry cough. Oh, so like, do you have like stairs where you were? Did you experience any sort of fatigue if you walked up and down the stairs? Man, wow, I just left their pants in the middle of the street. Look at that. They got COVID on them. Ugh, man, that's scary. So now, how did you know that you had recovered? I mean, did you get your energy back and everything's hunky dory again, or did you didn't have to do a ventilator, did you? Well, guys, I want to remind everyone, y'all be safe. So, y'all be safe, stay quarantined. Take this seriously, not just for yourself, but take it seriously for others, especially people that that may be unable to fight the virus if they catch it. So that's yeah. Be vigilant, remain vigilant, be safe. Thanks for y'all's viewership, and stay tuned for another live show soon. Y'all have a good day.